Hi everyone, today we will talk about Ford anti-Semitism. In 1980, Ford's closest aide and private secretary, Ernest G. Leibold, purchased weekly newspaper for Ford, the Dearborn Independent. The Independent ran 8 years, from 1920 until 1927. During this period, Ford emerged as a respected spokesman for the right-wing extremism and religious prejudice. This video will discuss how the anti-Semitism's Ford's philosophy put him against the cultural assimilations and was influenced in the period of the Third Reich. Henry Ford in 1920 showed to the United States and later Europe his opinion about the recent finished Great War, blaming the Jews as the responsible of this. His publications and first steps were limited and directly read by the low and middle social class. As a result, his publications against Jewish culture stimulated the racism in the different factories due to the lot of readers in the United States and in Germany. For example, Ford wrote on May 22 in 1920, "If fans wish to know the trouble with American baseball, they have in their three words, too much Jews." The principal argument that goes against this is years later Ford defends his name, saying that none of these works was written by Ford. He just allowed his name to be used as an author. According to the trial testimony, he wrote almost anything. Ford tried to redeem himself, saying that he doesn't control the content of the articles, and he even doesn't read them. The fault of this content was of his secretary Ernest G. Leibold. The only relation that Ford admitted that had with this newspaper was the title of the first ball published in 1920, "The International Jew, the World's First More Problem." The declarations of Ford trying to avoid the accusations against him fell in the moment that you read the title of the first ball. And, on the other hand, it's ridiculous that he brought a newspaper to publish his thoughts and ideas about the society and the country and don't control it. As the same we mentioned before, that Ford's ideas and published against Jewish culture occasioned disturbs in the United States and Germany because of the population of Ford and the influence in the middle and low class. That hate that he expressed was based in the increased use in banks, world of art, and different companies. With all that reasons, he thought in a conspiration in which Jews will control everything. Some of that ideas were used by Nazis to justify the Holocaust and cruel actions against Jewish society. But of course, the principal argument against this is that the global situation during the World War II establishes racist and anti-Semitism ideology around the world that in some points can justify the ideologies of Ford and his ideas as someone influenced by the Third Reich. But of course, we can't say that Ford was influenced by the Third Reich, because the publication against Jews that Ford do in the Dearborn Independent was published in 1920, 19 years before the Germans invaded Poland and the declaration of the war. And also, the articles of Ford were published even before Mein Kampf, published in 1925. And of course, it is necessary to mention that in the first edition of Mein Kampf, Hitler mentioned Ford as an ideological ally. Only a single great man, Ford, who, to the Jews' fury, still maintains fully independence from the controlling masters of the producers in nation of 120 millions. As a result, it is possible to evidence how the Ford's philosophy against the Jewish culture in the United States and the world, principally between 1920 and 1928, was an important ideological part in the creation of groups and laws against the Jews that promotes the violence and intolerance even in his factories in the United States and Germany. That evidence how the influence of someone that impact in low social class can easily promote the hate and violence just because that person knows what the people need and want for a better lifestyle.